Cyrano de Bergerac by Edmond Rostand, Act 5, Quotations. Let's start with a little comedy. Really? He has his father's nose? Is his father Cyrano de Bergerac? At the pharmacy. Yes, sir, we do carry nasal strips, but I'm afraid they don't come in extra large. Act 5 is the play's dramatic epilogue. So it's set 15 years after the main action, and there's this tragedy of Christian's death in Act 4, and Act 5 ties it all up, ties up the storyline of Cyrano de Bergerac. So the setting of this section of the play is really important. It takes place at twilight on an autumn day. Both the hour and the season connote endings or changes or death. So let's consider the end of a day. At the end of a day, we know it gets dark. We know we are going to sleep. We know we consider it an ending or a wrapping up of what we've been doing all day. Kind of a transition into something more dormant. Also, we have the season. Well, fall, it's so beautiful, but it's really just a transition into winter, which is hibernation or death symbolically. So the liveliness of summer transitions into winter, and fall is that transition. Those leaves that are falling from the tree, they are falling because they are dying. Therefore, autumn leaves are symbols of death. Let's take a look at the text. Right here we have Cyrano, who has arrived at the convent to visit Roxanne. He's just been talking with Sister Martha, teasing her. And then he turns to Roxanne, who's bending over her embroidery work, needle and thread. Now may the devil admire me if I ever hope to see the end of that embroidery. And Roxanne, smiling, knowing that he's teasing, says, I thought it was time you said that. And then a breath of wind causes a few leaves to fall. Cyrano. The leaves. Roxanne raises her head and looks away through the trees. What color? Perfect Venetian red. Look at them fall. And here's this big moment. Cyrano says, yes, they know how to die. A little way from the branch to the earth, a little fear of mingling with the common dust, and yet they go down gracefully, a fall that seems like flying. Roxanne, melancholy? You? Why, no, Roxanne. Then let the leaves fall. Tell me now the court news, my gazette. Remember, a gazette is a newspaper, and he's going to tell her all the news of the court. But let's look back. Cyrano says, yes, they know how to die. The leaves are falling. It's natural for them. And he knows that he's going to die and admires the leaves for doing it gracefully, whereas he is not. If we know that foreshadowing is clues to the outcome of a story, we know that the time of day, the season of autumn, and the falling leaves are all symbols that foreshadow Cyrano's death at the end of Act 5. The setting also serves as a metaphor for Roxanne's changing view of physical beauty. Remember, she loves Christian because of his looks, but thinks that he has Cyrano's soul, not realizing they're two different men. Her realization that Cyrano wrote the letters only occurs when she notices that Cyrano's reading the letter in the dark. And so once those visual signs lose their importance, his nose, the light, then Roxanne's able to hear Cyrano's true voice, his true words, see who he truly is. Another symbol that foreshadows Cyrano's death is the letter that Cyrano wrote for Christian, or on behalf of Christian for Roxanne, when they were out at the battlefield. So let's take a look at the text. His letter, you wish, I do wish it today. So Roxanne gives him a little silken bag from around her neck. Here, may I open it? Open it and read. Then she goes back to her needlework, her embroidery. Cyrano unfolds the letter and reads, Farewell, Roxanne, because today I die. And here is the moment that foreshadows Cyrano's death. He's reading his own letter that Roxanne thought was from Christian all these years, but he's saying, "Farewell, Roxanne, because today I die." And then she asks aloud, all surprised, "I know that it will be today, my own dearly beloved, and my heart still so heavy with love, I have not told you." And remember, he still hasn't told her. "And I die without telling you. No more shall my eyes drink the sight of you like wine. Never more, with a look that is a kiss, follow the sweet grace of you." How you read it, his letter. "I remember now the way you have of pushing back a lock of hair with one hand from your forehead, and my heart cries out." His letter. And you read it so, and then the darkness increases imperceptibly. So it's getting darker as he's reading this letter. Cries out and keeps crying, "Farewell, my dear, my dearest," in a voice. My own heart's own, my own treasure," in such a voice. And this is where Roxanne realizes that it's Cyrano who has written the letters. Let's take a look at how Cyrano dies. Remember, at the convent, Ragueneau tells Lebray that a large log has fallen on Cyrano's head and wounded him. And he found him lying there with a great hole in his head. And then Lebray says, "Is he alive?" And Ragueneau says, "Alive, yes, but I had to carry him up to his room, and he's suffering." Well, Cyrano knew that he had an appointment with Roxanne, and he wasn't about to let that appointment go. So he shows up wounded to see Roxanne. She doesn't know that he's wounded, and she teases him for being late. She says, "After 14 years, late for the first time?" "Yes, maddening. I was detained by, well, a visitor, most unexpected." She's still just sewing and listening to him. "Was your visitor tiresome?" "Why, hardly that. Inopportune. Let us say an old friend of mine, at least a very old acquaintance." "Did you tell him to go away?" "For the time being, yes." I said, "Excuse me, this is Saturday. I have a previous engagement, one I cannot miss, even for you. Come back an hour from now." "Your friend will have to wait. I shall not let you go till dark." Cyrano's old acquaintance is death. He has been close to death many times, and he tells death, "I won't even miss this appointment for you." He loves Roxanne that much. Cyrano's death scene mimics his overall plight. He is denied the chance to die in battle on the sword of a hero. He instead dies after being ambushed by a falling log. Cyrano's death, like his character, is simultaneously tragic, ironic, and comedic. So we have situational irony in his death. He's not a war hero. He gets hit on the head by a log. However, he always manages to elude his fated failure, and he dies fighting not against a mortal hero, but against the specters of falsehood, cowardice, and compromise. And these are all his old enemies, including ugliness. Throughout the play, Cyrano suffers both because of his appearance and because of his unwillingness to sacrifice his principles. Good guy. By this time, his long nose has become yet another symbol of his honorable nature and also a reminder of its consequence. So Cyrano dies fighting these unconquerable vices, but he knows that Roxanne loves him despite his appearance. He says that he will take his unstained white plume with him to heaven. And the white plume is a mark of a leader on the battlefield and a symbol of courage, bravery. And he may die, but his honor will remain pure and unstained.